Hey guys, Primal Swampy here. I'm going to be doing another deck tech for you today featuring Darkrai EX and GX. So without further ado, we'll go ahead and get right into it. Start things off, we run 4 copies of the Dark Pulse Darkrai EX. Does 20 plus and 20 more damage for each dark energy attached to all of your Pokemon. 180 HP, weak to fighting, resists psychic, good for those Garbodor matchups. Next, we run 3 copies of Darkrai GX, mostly for the restoration ability. Once during your turn, if this Pokemon is in your discard pile, you may put it onto your bench and attach a dark energy from your discard pile onto this Pokemon. Really good way to accelerate energies. And his attack isn't too bad either. Dark Cleave for 2 dark and a colorless does 130, and it's not affected by resistance. Next up, we run a couple one-ofs. Run 1 Marshadow GX for the ability Shadow Hunt. This Pokemon can use the attacks of any basic Pokemon in your discard pile. And 1 Yveltal for Oblivion Wing does 30, attach a dark energy from your discard to one of your benched. And Marshadow is a really good card to put in this deck if you're running against another Darkrai deck. You can be hitting for weakness, or if you're facing a fighting deck, you can use him instead of your Darkrai's as much. That way they don't get hit for weakness. And last, we run 2 copies of Tapu Lele for Wonder Tag ability, search your deck for a supporter. Obvious reasons. And that is it for the Pokemon lineup. Very little. Next we move on to supporters. Run 4 copies of N. Both players shuffle their hands into their decks and draw for their remaining prize cards. Next up, we run 3 copies of Professor Sycamore. Discard your hand and draw 7 cards. I opted to play 4 Sycamore, but I decided to include 1 Lily instead. Draw cards until you have 6 cards in your hand. If it's your first turn, draw until you have 8. Which I usually get Lily in my opening hand, or have a way to get Lily with Lele. So I like having Lily in the deck. Next we run 3 copies of Guzma. Switch one of your opponent's bench Pokemon with their active Pokemon. If you do, switch your active with one of your benched. And then next we run kind of a tech that nobody really likes, but I think it's an amazing card in this deck, and that card is Sophocles. Discard 2 cards from your hand. If you do, draw 4 cards. I think this is a must in Darkrai if you run Darkrai GX, because if you have Darkrai GX and a dark energy in your hand, you can play Sophocles, get rid of the GX and the dark energy, then you can use Restoration, get it on your bench, and draw 4 cards off of it. I think that's an amazing supporter. I did have 3 in the deck, but I took 1 out and put in Marshadow instead. I think 2's plenty, but I think you definitely need to play at least 2. Okay, and that is it for the supporter lineup. Next we run 4 copies of Ultra Ball, standard in every deck. And it's really good to Ultra Ball away Darkrai GX and Dark Energies. Next, we run 4 copies of Max Elixir. Look at the top 6 cards of your deck and attach a basic energy card you find there to a basic Pokemon on your bench. Really good to accelerate energy. Powers up Darkrai really quickly. Next up, we run 4 copies of Choice Band. The Pokemon this tool card is attached to does 30 more damage to Pokemon EX and GX. Help making Darkrai swing for a lot of damage. Next up, we run 2 copies of Fighting Fury Belt, just to help give some Pokemon some more HP if they need it. Like Marshadow GX, 150s on the low side. But with the Fighting Fury, that gives them 190. Next, we run 2 copies of Field Blower, standard reasons in every deck. Discard 2 in combination of Stadium and Tool cards attached to your opponent's Pokemon, or actually any Pokemon. Next, we run a couple of 1-ups, Rescue Stretcher and Super Rod. Again, standard in most decks. That is it for the item cards. Not a whole lot of item cards, but some. Garbodor really isn't a threat against this deck, not too much. And next we run 3 copies of Altar of the Moon. The retreat cost of each Pokemon, both yours and your opponent's, that has any psychic or dark energy attached to it is 2 colorless less. Which makes every Pokemon in this deck have free retreat. No Pokemon has over 2 retreat cost in this deck. So as long as they have a dark energy attached and that Stadium's in play, they can retreat for free. And last but not least, we have the energy count. And it is a very big energy count, but that's so we can get our energies out quickly and not fail max elixirs. We're on 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, and 15. 15 dark energies. Well, that is the deck, guys. Do with it what you wish. I think this is a pretty solid list, how it is. Not really a whole lot of cards I can think of taking out, except maybe Lily. I could see that, or if you want to take in something other than Marshadow, but this is the list for me. Thank you guys for watching. Stay tuned for more Primal Swampy videos.